In this lesson, we're going to detail out the taillight area. Alright, so we've built the back of the car, we built out the trunk and the side, and now we just have this little hole here to deal with, and now we just need to detail out the taillight area. So let's go to our back view, and let's just get started really quickly. Let's start out with this edge right here. We need to bring these edges out, okay, to meet this point here. So the way I like to do this and tackle problems like this is I could bring this down, but I also have this specific shape right here that needs to be built in as well. And so what I'll do is I'll actually hold down Shift and then drag that to the right. Okay, and I'll bring it out as far as I can. Let's look at the back view here. And I'll put that right on that segment. Now, before I do anything else, I want to try to line that up to where I want it to go first, as closely as possible. Sorry, it's zooming in and out really oddly. Let me go ahead and try Control-Alt and middle mouse button to zoom in a little bit better. The scroll wheel seems to be wigging out on me a little bit. Alright, so we'll get that as close as we can, and then we'll go to Vertex Mode, select around those two vertices, and just simply weld that. Okay. Now we've got this little lip here, and if we go to our back view, hitting V and then K, we have that, but we still need to basically outline this headlight. So let's just grab these vertices here and pull that back to right there. That's all we need on that lip there. Now the headlight itself does have a little bit of an edge to it underneath. So what we'll do is we'll take this edge right here and we'll go to our back view, and let's hold Shift and drag that straight down until it meets that seam right there. Okay. Now this is going to look a little funny at first, but we're going to get this worked out. So now the next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and get the flat portion of the trunk. So let's take this edge, and I'm going to take this edge, and I'm simply just going to bridge those together, just like that. So looking at our back view, let's see what we have here. We need one more segment to go right here. So let's go ahead and go to Modeling, Edit, Swift Loop. Let's add our segment right there, right at the seam of that trunk. Okay, and then we're going to come up underneath. We're going to grab this edge, and let's see, this edge. I'm trying to think of which way I want to go with this. Let's see. Let's do this first. Let's take this edge and this edge, and let's hold Shift and drag that straight up to right about there. Then I'm going to push it back in the Y until it meets those vertices. So here's what I'm looking for. Let me pull that down a little bit, and let me get that in line with the back of that trunk there. And I think that's pretty close. Let's go ahead and target weld that from here to here, so that way that's together. And then we also have this side over here, which we don't necessarily have another edge for, but we can create it. So let's go to Swift Loop. Let's add an edge right there, pretty much right on top of one another. Select those two vertices and then hit Weld. Okay, just like that. So now we've got that little lip that goes up underneath that seam there. And let's go ahead and close this in. Let's see here. How do I want to do that? I have this ledge right here, and I'm pretty sure it comes down to a triangle, but I don't want to bring it into a triangle just yet. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's right-click and target weld this vertex to the front one. So it's going to create this triangle. And again, that's going to be the basis underneath that headlight. And you know what? Let's not do that. Let's take that out. That's going to get very confusing really quickly. Let's build the headlight as its own object. I still want that segment there. Okay. I still need to create the trunk. Okay, so let's get that. Let's take this edge right here, that vertex, and let's place it right there. And then we'll take this one, and I'm going to use the edge constraint, and I'm going to pull that across, and let's make sure that we keep it on that ledge there. And let's pull that down. And that's starting to get away from us. Let's hit Control Z really quickly. Let's do, let's see. Just trying to think about where I want to go with this segment. This line needs to follow that seam there. So let's add another segment right here. Okay. And let's take this vertex, let's pull it straight up. Okay. And it's going to basically start to give us this shape here. So we want that seam there. And then this needs to come up to here. Well, that's not going to work either. Let's do this. Let's take this edge and this edge. Hold Shift, bring that up. Then we'll move these. There we go. That's starting to give us the shape that we want there. And we'll bring this one up. And then I'm going to bring this one up. But I'm going to right click and target weld it to this vertex right there. Okay, so it's going to look just like that. This needs to go to the edge of that tail light. Both of these do. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this over to the edge of that tail light as well. Okay, just like that. We'll have to add some more segments to this, but it's going to be for the greater good. And then let's add one more segment right here. So we'll go to Edit, Swift Loop, add the segment right here, and then we'll take this edge and simply bridge. Actually, let's do, no, let's not do that. Let's do this instead. Let's take this edge and let's add an edge right up here. Like that, and then we'll take this edge and this one and bridge. Okay, and then that's going to create a triangle right here, which I can deal with. If I go to border mode and I select that, I can cap it. And then I can simply come in and do Swift Loop. I can add a loop right here in the middle, take that vertex and pull it over, and it creates this loop that goes down. So now we've got this loop. It comes up underneath the trunk, and it gets this geometry ready for the tail light, which is now blocked out. We've got this fairly flat surface. We may come in and do just a little bit of work. I want to look at the different edges. Let's turn off vertex mode. Let's just make sure that it's nice and flat at least. I know it seems like there's a little bit of a curve on the end, and that's because there's just so much going into that. I think once we actually add thickness to that, it will straighten out. Let me show you how to do that really quickly, just to kind of show you that process. If we take this edge right here, and if I were to hold Shift and drag that straight back in the Y, you'll see that that begins to create this edge. Now, there's a problem with this really quickly. You'll see that I have these vertices that are overlapping one another, and that's not going to be very good for us. So what I want to do first is I want to take that border, but then I'm going to go to edge mode. I'm going to remove that edge from that selection there. And then what I'll do is I'll actually hold Shift. I'll drag that back until that first edge right here touches that existing vertex there. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to vertex mode, select around those vertices, and then weld that. Okay, just like that. And then if I go in, let me hit F3 so we can see our solid mass here. You can see that we now have this solid piece that's got some thickness to it. Now the problem with that as well is we need to add a little bit more thickness all the way around, okay, as it comes through. So now what we need to do is we need to take that edge. Let me try this one more time. My zooming is starting to get a little odd. Let me hold Shift, pull that back, and let me go to vertex mode, select around those vertices, and then weld that. Okay, and that'll straighten out that weird pinch there. Now I don't need that to come together all the way underneath that. We're going to be hiding that with the tail light. But the really important thing that we'll need to do is we'll need to tighten up the corners using some segments in here. So let's go to Editable Poly, Edge Mode, and then Edit Swift Loop. Let's add in a segment right here, and then we're going to hold Control Alt, and we're going to grab that segment and pull it toward the edge. We're going to make it kind of close there, just like we did with the wheel arcs and things like that. And you'll see that that hardens up that edge there, makes it look nice and crisp. And then we'll be adding more and more edges as we go along in here to really tighten that up. But I just wanted to show you that so that way you didn't worry about the shape of that tail light. Okay. Now it does appear as though we would need another edge loop around the outside of that to kind of hold the shape on the outside here, but all in all, that's pretty good. All right, so we have finished blocking in the tail light area. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add the spoiler to our trunk. That's just kind of a little detail. And what we're doing now essentially is we're breaking away from modeling the car body. We're pretty much finished with that. Now we're just starting to add in some little details. We'll make some adjustments to the car body as we go. We'll start to add thickness here in just a couple of lessons. But what I want to do now is build the spoiler in the next lesson. And then after that, we'll go ahead and we'll model in the details that we see underneath the rear end.